Hey everyone, this
Hello.
is Scott and Bethany Palmer.
Hi.
For our weekly Wealth Wednesdays.
That's
First
right.
of all, thank you for being here.
Yep.
We had a ton of amazing feedback from last
Yep.
week, and so we're just going to keep this going and stay engaged and just keep the ball rolling.
That's
so
right.
We've been talking about, a lot of time this summer, we've been talking about kids because I don't know about you, but our house just gets kind of like more kid intense.
That's right.
Because we're around them so much
Yep.
more. So we're going to kind of stay with that
kid theme.
With that kid theme today.
Yes, and parenting and how to do that in the best way. Believe us, we are not experts, but we've done some things well, we've done some things wrong, so we're just super pumped. There's
Wow,
the phone.
sorry.
We're going to turn that off.
That was on
There
vibrate.
you go.
It is not.
There we
it is
go.
not on vibrate.
So we're excited to be with you today. We're Scott and Bethany Palmer, the Money Couple, recording from you live from Colorado Springs. That's right in our home. And we're super pumped to be with you. We want to hear from you. If you're out there, give us a thumbs up. We love smiley faces. We love hearts going, and we love thumbs up going across the screen as we're talking. We also would love to hear from you. Any ideas that you have as we're talking, just type them in. And those ideas will be seen by all. And so we're excited to learn from you as well as we go along and as you see this. So let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about kids' allowances. The last 2 weeks we actually spent some time talking about how important it is to have a house of order and to teach our kids just a literally physical house of order. So then that has carryover to your financial house of order. And it's amazing how kids learn certain skill sets and then how they can apply them to us to money. So that was our last 2 weeks. And we've had so many questions about allowances, and we've been pretty intentional in this way, and it's a wonderful training ground.
Absolutely.
Isn't it just the best?
It's the best because
It's
you
the best.
you control it.
Allowances
So,
are awesome.
absolutely.
So we're so excited, and we have a little bit different take on allowances than a lot of people. So actually, should we just start diving?
Well, yeah, I want to say one thing. When it comes to allowances, I think we're all kind of in this weird situation as parents where we do not want to raise entitled kids.
No.
And so I know some people are like, oh, we don't want to do allowances because it's going to make our kids entitled. And the entitlement, I mean, it probably was like this when we were kids too, but it just feels, now that it's my kids, maybe it's a little more intense, full disclosure. But man, Beth and I always have the entitlement antenna up in our house. And so I want to calm any of your fears that maybe are just jumping in right now, that when it comes to allowances, we want you to kind of think of it in a different way. And it's not an entitlement that our kids get.
Well,
it's a great, amazing training.
Sorry to interrupt you there. I think it's like allowance has always been related to chores around the house. That if you do chores around the house, then you're going to get an allowance. And we have really seen that approach does not work, because it's important to know that your kids and their kids to learn that you're part of a family.
Yeah.
And that doing the dishwasher, wiping off the counters, doing a little sweeping here and there, that's all part of taking the garbage out. That's part of being the family. And so why should you get paid extra above and beyond for doing things that's just being part of a family? So we want to just get that out from the beginning. Again, for those of you who are joining us, we're Scott and Bethany Palmer, the Money Couple. We're talking today about kids' allowances. Super important opportunity here, and we want to share some ideas. But again, foundationally, we both want to lay the groundwork that allowance is not, do not put that together with doing the traditional things that's just being part of a family. That's not, we don't think, again, everybody's got their own, and believe me, we are not here to judge anybody, but we just think there's a wonderful opportunity to teach your kids about money. Let's face it, money impacts us every single day, and it's going to impact your kids every single day, and as they get older, they're going to see that. And so one of the greatest gifts we can give our children is teaching them about money. And we can start super young, but it goes all the way up until their 20s. But we're gonna talk about each stage here in just a minute. Mm-hmm. After we lay some foundational things ground rules down, if you will, about allowances. And again, these are suggestions. These are things that we have found that work.
And these also come from people that have just given us positive feedback. Hey, this worked with our kids.
Yes.
That's the great thing about this community is this isn't Bethany and I just making all this stuff up.
Right.
Our kids are, our test products, and then we've got such great friends and followers, and this community is so awesome that we're constantly getting, hey, have you tried this? And we're like, no, and then we try it. So these are awesome suggestions. We're going to go over 3 points today on different ways that we suggest on how to use allowance to raise great money kids.
Yes.
So the number 1 point is we suggest that you put the cash in front of them. You actually make it a tangible thing. I know sometimes parents occasionally will say, well, I'll let you spend $3, and then you're at the store and you just buy them something that costs $3 or maybe a little bit less or a little bit more. But we think when you're managing money and teaching your kids how to manage money, you have to make it tangible. You have to actually put it in front of them so that they're taking possession of those dollars.
Yes, and as little kids, and you can start this as little as age 3. As a matter of fact, I was talking to someone today, and I just said, hey, her girl's 2.5, and I'm like, when's she 3? 3, great, this is an idea. And she was like, yes. But anyway, physically putting that in front of them, and not like Scott said, just for something to buy here or something to buy there, but on a weekly basis, putting money in front of them from a very, very young age. Now, we're going to tell you why in just a minute, but we suggest that money that you put in front of them each week be a consistent by 3. So for example, it could be $3, it could be 3 dimes, it could be 3 pennies. I mean, a 3-year-old doesn't know how much money they're getting. So, it can be $15, anything. It needs to be divided by 3, and we'll explain why here in just a minute. It could be 3 dimes, 3 quarters, $3, whatever. And again, we are not tying this to their good works around the house. No, we're doing this to teach them about money. It's just so fun to see their eyes light up, for their confidence to start building, because they're touching it, they're seeing that it's not scary. We as parents, we talk about money around our kids, and some kids think money is a scary thing, and we don't want them to be scared. We want them to just physically touch it. So actually putting cash in front of them is the first foundational rule. It doesn't matter what age we're talking about here. We're talking about putting cash in front. And we're going to have these 3 things that are just kind of the foundational no matter what age group. So number 1, put cash in front of them.
Absolutely. We suggest that you actually put the money in front of them. Yep. Number 2 is we suggest that you teach them money allocation. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking like money allocation. You're probably like me. You're thinking 401k. What are you talking about? Are you talking about
the kids?
Okay, great. Some people think when we say money allocation, we're talking about a blended portfolio and stocks and bonds, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how you actually help them with the money that you're giving them. How do they allocate those dollars? And so by teaching them how to allocate, you're programming them already to think about what I call the big 3. Bethany just ran upstairs to grab our kids' piggy banks that my, believe it or not, my 16-year-old, almost 16-year-old, in just a couple days here, still uses. Now, he's changed the percentage, and we'll get to that too a little bit later. But there's 3 basic categories that we suggest that you use to teach them money allocation.
Okay, so hold on.
Okay, hold on. She's coming.
You can hold it up, each one.
Okay, great. So here are the 3 that we suggest. This is called a moon bank. We got these moon banks for our kids. Since the very beginning, since we started and it doesn't, some people use jars, but let's start off with, or boxes. This is the first one, and this one on the moon box is called share, or what we would say is give. So what percentage of those dollars, or those quarters, or those nickels, or dimes, or whatever, goes into the share? And the reason this is so important is because we want to make sure that our kids, that Cole and Cade, understand the importance of giving back. Understand the importance of taking care of people that are less fortunate than them. And so what we did is especially when they were younger, and like I said, we're going to get to older ages where the percentage changes a little bit, we just started off with a third. The reason that Bethany brought up increments of a third is because we suggest a third go into each of these allocation suggestions that we have. So the first one is share. We want to raise givers.
And can I, well, I'll talk about that after. Okay, so the first one is share.
The next one is save.
That's right.
Now, as two spenders, saves, it is hard for little kids and it is hard for adults to really understand how do we save. We suggest, once again, the reason Bethany said do increments of 3 is because it's super easy to go a third into share, a third into save. And Bethany always talks about, and I've seen this play out with our 16-year-old, you have to give them an idea of what they're saving for.
Goal.
You have to give them the goal. If you just are like saving to save and there's no back-end reward to that, it's never going to work out. It's never going to put them in a situation where it's a noisy place at our house today. It's never going to put them in a position where they know why they're saving. Many of us in our 40s are saving for our retirement like crazy right now. But the saving, teaching them when they're young, is going to put you in a save. So we've got first one is share, next one is save, and third, and my all-time favorite, spend. This is what you allow them to spend. That's why in point number 1, putting the cash in front of them and making it tangible, letting them pay for it at the candy store, or letting them pay for it at the come and go, or letting them pay for it for their clothes. Allowing them to spend and putting the money in their hands and actually handing it, giving it away, giving it to someone that's taking it, putting it in the cash register, maybe getting a little change back. You're teaching them that it's okay to spend, that it's safe to spend, but they've got the money before they put out a credit card at that age, spending. So you're teaching them how to spend over the long term.
Okay, so as you put all 3 of these together, and how do you do that here? Here we go. So see, you've got 3. And you can do this with jars, you can do this with boxes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to cost anything. It's just being consistent with it. Now, a couple things I want to share with this. You know how when you work out, your muscles improve?
Absolutely.
Okay. Obviously, duh. All right. If you're lifting weights, your muscles improve. We want your kids' money muscles to get strong. And so by them getting a third, a dime, let's say each get a quarter, each get $1, they get to run upstairs and they get to put 1 dime into one dime into another, and 1 dime. They're getting used to this whole idea of putting money into different allocations, different kinds of things. As we get older, obviously, we've got the allocation of insurance, retirement, whatever they are. But we've got these allocations, and as a really young kid, you're starting to get that money muscle strong. So they're confident. They've touched the money. They see it's not scary. They're like excited about it. Woohoo, I get some money. I get to go put it in my different areas. Now, one thing too we want to stress is that not all children don't like to save. Not all children, some children like to spend more. Some children like to save more. It isn't a guarantee. You know, we talk about materialistic kids and things like that. Yes, but some kids will not let go of their money.
Right.
And so it might be the
power
spend
savers
that we need to work on,
Exactly.
that it's okay. Spenders are wonderful, very generous people.
Yeah.
And so teaching them that, that whole side of spending is just as important as teaching them how to save. So how to save is as important as how to spend, which is as important as how to share, or what we usually call give instead of share, but everybody, doesn't matter which one you use.
Right.
Go ahead.
I think so often what we do as parents is we just try to show our kids how to do something and just naturally assume that based on our example, they'll follow that. That's where allowances are so important, because you're actually bringing them in and you're letting them make decisions. You're letting them make the decisions about their save and their share and their give. And it's such a powerful tool, because what it does is it brings them in on the decision-making process. We want our kids to make wise decisions. I mean, wouldn't you much rather, I know we would, we always used to talk about this, man, I'd rather have my kids make a mistake with $3 issue when they're 5 years old than when they're 25 and they've got $100 grand in credit card debt. And you are taking that out of their life. You are
Giving
decreasing,
them
you're decreasing the mistake margin that they have the ability to make as adults by making this little tiny adjustment right now. Yeah. And if your kids are 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, it is never too late to start with this allowance, because what we often find, we were sitting on a bus about 2 years ago, and there was a group of high school students with us, and they were going on a trip. And so Beth and I were listening to these two girls have a conversation, and the one girl said, well, I got all the money that I have with me from my own job, and I told my mom and dad, if I earn it, you can't tell me what to do with it. And I was like, wow.
Whoa.
I hope first of all, I hope if you do say that to your parents, your mom and dad say, great, let me see that paycheck, and they stick it in their pocket and say, there's 7 days worth of mortgage payment, thanks for chipping in. But the reality is that when we actually, when they get older and we haven't done any of this training, they just naturally assume if I earned it, it's mine. Well, another thing that you're doing is when you're teaching them and showing them how these allocations work, it's a group project, and it's all of ours. And then what we find is that when Cole gets older and he's cleaning carpets and tearing out drywall, when that money's coming in, he just inadvertently thinks, what am I going to share, what am I going to save, and what am I going to give? It's not even a mind thought in his that this is mine. This is the money that I earned, and how am I going to allocate it? Mm-hmm. So we don't have perfect children by any means, but we've seen that pay off, and so we want to make sure the information that we're giving you is going to help you raise money smart kids too. Our kids have a lot to learn, but man, at least I hope they're not having those conversations on buses with their kids.
I just want to make just a quick comment on that whole my money versus your money, all that. As long as your kid you're paying for things for your children, you're paying for their cell phone, or you're paying for their car, or you're paying for the roof over their head,
or their college.
Anything that is underneath your roof is fair game for you to speak into.
Absolutely.
And
money
some
is
people,
no different.
no, money is no different, and super important to speak into it. And let's just give our kids money confidence. All right, so for those of you joining us, and we're Scott Bethany Palmer, the Money Couple. We're really excited to be talking today about kids' allowance. We love to see the hearts go by, the thumbs up go by.
Thank you for the comments.
Yes,
they've been awesome.
Absolutely. So, all right. So first of all, put cash in front of them, and we talked about that. Second of all, teach them money allocation, and we talked about that. Now, the third one is, I love this one, raise the bar as they age. And so this is how to do it based on different age groups. And so we're going to spend some time talking about the different age groups. And when it comes to money, oftentimes, here's kind of the age groups, if you will, 5 to 9, 10 to 13, and wait, what was it?
Well, we start off with the little ones. So yeah. We start, there's two different age groups. I mean, the young
5
ones,
to 12, there we go.
Yeah, 5 to 12.
Yes, 5 to 12.
But it's a little different with the allowances.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
Because we raise them at different ages. So
that's
what we
true.
suggest is when you start them from 3, pretty much 3 to 9, when they hit 9, that's huge training ground.
That's when you can you give them allocations of 3.
The thirds, we totally suggest that. Now, what we did was when they were 3, they got $3 each. So they each got they had $1 that we had them put into each one of the allocations. And it was so we suggest on your 3-year-olds, start 3. And then we pretty much kept it until they were 6. And then when they hit 6, we went $6. So we doubled it. So now they're putting $2 in each of those things. By the time they were 9, we had $9 per week. So they were putting in $3 into each of those things. So that's why we like the increments of 3, because between 3 and 9, we were increasing it.
Yes.
I called it an inflation bonus, but we were increasing that because guess what? They didn't spend money the same way when they were 8 as they did when they were 3. And so by giving them that $9, they were getting used to that third. Then what happened we switched it again, or we didn't switch it. We suggest that between 9 and 12, you change things up just a little bit. And basically the good rule of thumb is that's when we had the suggestion of, the stuff that you do around the house isn't the reason that you get this money. The reason that you get this money is because we're training you with money. But now that you're 9 and you are, now that you're 9 and you're in a position, I think a question just popped up. Would you read that one while I'm visiting for a second? Well, when they hit 9, that's when we jumped into, here's your basics in the house, just because your last name is Palmer that you're stuck with. Here's how you're going to make money now. It's with doing things like cleaning out the garage, raking leaves, vacuuming out my car, which is usually a disaster, clean the floorboards, working on the floors, addressing envelopes, cleaning the windows, organizing the pantry. We had all these different things that we actually put a dollar amount to. So between 9 and pretty much present now, I mean, 9 and 12. Then I'll tell you how we switched it up at 12 years old. But between 9 and 12, we actually did start paying them for things they did around the house. And guess where it came in? Usually between 12 and 16 bucks. But it was great because it was saving us with not having to pay for help with cleaning the house. And they were proactive now in making their money.
So again, it's things over and above the regular everyday. It's kind of spring cleaning kinds of things. It's just a wonderful way. So, a couple things. Number one is, and the question that came in is, do we have our daughter do anything to earn the money for the allowance? And we spoke back and we encourage you, thank you so much, Shiloh, I think it is, for asking that question. Go back and listen to this again because we spent quite a bit of time talking about this at the beginning, but no, until they're 9, you're not going to be having them actually do something to earn the money. They're actually just going to get it because it's all about money management. It's all about money allocation. That's what we want to train them. We want to give our kids money confidence. It doesn't have anything to do with what they do around the house. It's just to train them about money.
Yep.
That's what the goal is. So Scott's right. Up until 9, we did that. Then, in addition to that, and I want to stress that, in addition to those monies,
to the normal work,
right? Well, right. In addition to that normal work, now they're going to have additional things that they do that they are going to earn the money, and you give them a rate per hour, whatever you decide. If you want to do $5 an hour, or whatever. But you and them talk about what those things are going to be each month, plan them out, and then they get paid based on that. And they still, until they're about 10, do a third and a third and a third. We're going to talk about when to change it from a third, a third, a third. But again, up until 9, you're just giving them the money. From 9 to 12,
they earn it.
They're going to start earning it. And it's going to be things over and above what they do to be part of the family. Nothing like emptying the dishwasher, taking up the trash.
Right.
That's all part
the normal
of
stuff they should be doing.
Stuff. Exactly. So,
and it's interesting because we suggest that you just take, I mean, it's not like you just cut them off cold turkey. You want to give them some warning. But when we stopped the allowance between 9 and 12, and they started earning the money, but because we were their employer and we were paying them, that's why we could speak into the share, spend, and give on the money allocation that we suggested. So that's the game plan that worked great for us, and we've had amazing feedback from our parents from 9 to 12. So then what we found was that at about 12, they really started kind of picking up their game. I mean, they wanted to make some additional money, and so what we found was that they started making more than that, $9 to $15 a week. They actually started making 30, 40, 50. Cole made $750 for 3 weeks of work. So what we found was that, man, those numbers really started going up. So what we did was we sat down with them and we repositioned the share, spend, and give as far as what percentages they thought was fair, what we would suggest to them. And once again, we had a saving goal. So the saving goal was for their first car. That's really been their goal since they were 7. Really?
6 or 7.
And Cole, guess what? Cole just bought half of his first new car that we're going to go pick up down in Sarasota for my big brother in a couple weeks. So once again, we had them change a little bit. So I know for Cole, he's so focused on this car, he gave 10% into his...
Actually 15.
Yeah, 15.
10% to the church.
Right, that's what I was going to say, 10% into the church.
Yes.
But he really started saving the majority of his money and didn't spend as much, which I was totally fine with.
One of the things that we talk about, it's like, so what percentage is important in the share? And so we suggest 15% total. 10% always goes to the church. Yep. This is just us. You guys don't have to do this at all, but this is just us. 10% always goes to your church. But then 5% gets to go to their charity of choice. And so that's a really great thing to teach them, even for their life, we believe. But anyway, so the save, having the goal for it, and the spend, to arrest us, our kids have no problem with this.
Yeah, our kids are good spenders.
Yeah, they really, really are. So it's great. So again, foundationally, we're Scott Bethany Palmer, the Money Couple. We're excited to be with you today and to teach you about allowances, super duper important stuff. Let me just lay out those 3 foundational things again. Number 1, put cash in front of them. Super important. Number 2, teach them money allocation. Save, spend, give. Really, that's your second. And third, based on their age, is when you change from giving them an increment of money into 3, or they earn it in things over and above what it takes to be in this family. And we've had a lot of success with it, and it's great.
So we suggest these 3 points
Yep.
to just, continue to raise great money kids and to continue to use allowance as an amazing training ground.
Also too, in our book, the 5 money conversations to have with your kids at every age and stage. And this is where we break it down. It's kind of like your manual, if you will, for your kids, because it's broken down age 5 to 12, 13 to 17, and 18 and beyond. The 5 money conversations to have with your kids in each age group. So really important. A foundational part of this is allowance. So we shared that with you today. Also too, it's really cool. You get this little code in the back. You get to scratch it off, and you come to our website and you get to know your kids' money personalities. As young as age 5 is when you can discover what their money personalities are. So we have an assessment for kids 5 to 12, 13 to 17, and 18 and beyond. So we really encourage you to know your kids' money personalities. Super foundational. Because again, if you've got a saver, they're going to have a hard time spending. If you've got a spender, they're going to have a hard time saving. And if you have a spender, they have an easier time sharing. So real important, and we walk through that in this book as well. So super duper great resource, and we hope today was good for you. We're excited about allowance. It's just a wonderful gift to be able to give your kids money confidence. It's
Absolutely.
great.
Hey, thanks for being with us. Have a great rest of your week. And as always,
Make it happen.